Hello everyone. So in today's video, we're going to make this super cute penguin block for our quilt along. Happy winter. Okay, so if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, so this is the layout for the face of our penguin. I have the sizes appearing on the screen so you know what size fabric to cut. So as you can see, there you have the eyes. That's 1.5 inches square. And then the nose is a 2.5 inch square, and we're going to snowball the nose 4 times, 2 with white squares and 2 with black. Okay, and then at the top of the eyes, that 1.5 by 3.5 inch strip of fabric that's white, you're going to snowball each end of that with 1.5 inch squares. Okay. Okay, so here you can see how I sewed the face into 3 rows. Okay, this is how you want to sew your blocks together. And now that I have 3 rows, I'm going to go ahead and sew those 3 rows together. So let's do that now. Okay, so after I sew my face together, I'm going to add 2 strips to the side of my face. Those are the 1.5 by 4.5 inch black strips. That's part of the penguin, okay? So we want to cut 1.5 by 4.5 and sew them to the sides of our face. So let's do that now. Okay, so the next piece after we sew our side strips on is we're going to sew the top of the head of the penguin. And that strip is 2.5 by 10.5 inches. So let's sew that to the top of our block now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take 2.5 inch squares of our background fabric, and we're going to snowball the top of the penguin's head. Okay, so let's do that now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to trim our block 6.5 by 10.5 inches and make sure it's at the right size, okay? You might just have to trim a little bit off. So let's do that now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the body of the penguin. So here's the measurements of the fabric that we're going to need. We're going to make 2 half square triangles. One is black for the penguin fabric, and then the plaid is your background fabric. Then we have the arms, 2.5 by 6.25 inches long, and we have the body that's 12.5 inches square. Okay? Okay, so we're going to sew our rectangles and half square triangles together for our arms, and then we're going to cut 2 background pieces that are 2.5 by 4.75 inches. And we're going to cut those, and then we're going to sew them onto the bottom of our arms, okay? So let's do that now. Okay, so next we're going to take our 12.5 inch body block, and we're going to snowball the bottom corner with 2.5 inch background squares. So let's do that now. So the next thing we're going to do is take our arms and sew them to the sides of our body block, okay? So let's do that now. Okay, so once we have our body block sewn together, we're going to snowball the top shoulders. So we're going to take 3.5 inch squares of our background fabric, and we're going to snowball the top of the block, okay? So let's do that now. Okay, so here's where I realized I had made a mistake. See the top corners of my penguin's head, how I have white squares there? I had to seam rip those out and put the plaid up there. I totally forgot that my background was plaid when I made that head. Okay, so in this photo you see white, but I did rip it out and change it to plaid. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our background strips of 3.5 by 6.5 inches, and we're going to sew it to the side of our head. So let's do that now. Okay, so now that we have the top of our penguin finished and the bottom finished, we are now going to sew our head to our body. So let's do that now. Okay, so we're almost finished with our block. So on the top of our penguin, once we sew the head to the body, we're going to put a top sashing on first. That's 1.5 by 16.5 inches, okay? Then we will sew the side sashing on, which is 2 inches by 19 inches long. Okay, so once we sew our side sashing on, we can now trim up our block to 19 inches square. Okay, guys, so that's it. That's our penguin block. Should be 19 inches square. Okay, well, this concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you make the penguin block. He came out so cute. It would be so cute to have a whole quilt of penguins with all different fabrics. I would love that. Okay, so our next video in our quilt along is going to be our borders. And it's going to be really simple and you're going to love it. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel. Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel.